It's a personal art. It takes training, takes work and practice, and you get better at it.
It's an art.
Yeah, it is.
Usually it'll start off where I don't know I'm dreaming, and I'll go through it for a while, and then something will happen, like an event. Like maybe I'm running and I trip or something, and that trip will signify to me that you're dreaming. And then from there, I just kind of take the reins and go with it. For example, I had a dream that I was like a ninja assassin, and I was taking out a bunch of bad guys to get to the head boss. And I made it through all the bad guys, and I get to the boss, and I notice that I'm outnumbered. He's like pretty strong. And I told myself, I need backup. And then I just imagined backup there, and then we just took him down.
A particular study was recently done in which lucid dreamers practice a coin toss experiment. And maybe 20 tosses, you get 2 or 3 in. It's not an easy task. Then you practice that in the lucid dream. And what they found was that you get an improved performance.
Wow.
Which is to say that you
they
are
got better
actually,
at doing it
yes,
by practicing it in their dream.
That's it. People use it for entertainment, fun, flying dreams, dream sex, doing what you want. Important application is also overcoming nightmares.
Some people suffer so much nightmares that they don't want to go to sleep, particularly post-traumatic stress nightmares. If you know you're dreaming while you're dreaming, you can control the dream.
It seems to be the key to recognize what they are, face the fear, work through it, and then you're free of it. In Tibetan Buddhism, for example, is a yoga of the dream state where for 1,000 years they've used lucid dreaming as one of their methods of seeking enlightenment.
They speak about lucidity as an early sign of the development or evolution of consciousness.
So it's a way of seeing what is it like to awaken to a broader, deeper, fuller sense of reality. It provides a model for awakening. It primes the higher development in people. You certainly could have more lucid dreams.
Yeah.
No question. All you have to do is sleep with the mental set to do so. The first step then is to increase your awareness of dreams. So sleeping with the idea, tonight I'm doing something besides just checking out from the world.
Sleep to dream with the intention to
tonight
dream.
I'm going to be having dreams. And that's the first step.
So it's about keeping your focus while you're falling asleep, is that what you're saying?
Secondly, to look at your dreams for dream signs, for things that happen in the dream that could tell you you're dreaming. Because some of the things that occur in dreams don't happen in waking reality or are unusual. That could tell you you're dreaming.
Right.
And then you become lucid.
What I'm taking from this is the most important thing to do is to just commit to trying to do it.
Yeah, that's how you're going to get there.
It's clear to me that a dream is an experience of the mind, but it's not possible to dismiss an experience of the mind as unreal. When you dream or when you imagine things, there's reality to that. If you're dreaming about your relationship with a person and what you think of that person or ways in which you interact in the dream, the emotions we experience are real. They're as real as the emotions experienced in the real world. There's no more proof for these things in the real world than there are in the state of the mind. That is where emotion takes place.
Consciousness, most simply, is usually separated into both sleeping and waking. Then there's all these transition states.
Daydreaming. This is not a task-oriented kind of consciousness. This is where you let your mind drift.
Falling asleep, the hypnagogic state, feverish states, virtual reality kinds of states.
Fantasy, there's hypnosis, meditation.
The consciousness of leisure time, play.
And it turns out that these transition, not sleeping, not alert, waking, focused, in fact occur and account for some huge amount of the day. I've heard figures as high as 50%.
You have to sort of be aware of the camera and what's going on with that, but then you have to largely ignore it, and you're being somebody other than you normally are. I spend a lot of time in that sort of dreamy place.
What's interesting to me about film noir characters who either have memory loss or distorted perceptions for some reason is those characters make it immediately apparent to the audience that they cannot perceive the objective reality around them. That's true of all human beings. We are all imprisoned by our own subjective perceptions of the world. And I think storytelling is one way in which we can understand a different point of view on what we consider to be objective reality. I think that one of the most powerful illusions of the human experience is the illusion that we're seeing objective reality through our own perceptions. And we can only see what we see.
Lots of people have drawn the metaphor between dreaming and movies. The first theaters for showing films in Europe, in England, were called dream palaces. Just the analogy that you're watching these hallucinatory, vivid images kind of passively in the dark seems true of both things.
For me, going into a movie theater and sitting down, and after about 10 minutes, you finally relax and kind of merge with the screen. It's so exciting, it's so scary, it's so happy that you just are part of what's going on around you.
I think that pleasure derives from feeling less isolated as human beings. I think that pleasure derives from feeling part of a shared experience with other people. Stepping outside the prison of our own perceptions, if only for a brief period of time.
There's a certain magic, I suppose, that happens when you're making movies, that when you're an audience member, being able to be visually stimulated, it tells the story through pictures in a way that you can never do through words, that you can never articulate.
You can't ignore the fact that if you can conceive of something, if you can perceive it or experience it within the mind, then on some level it exists.
I'm studying hardcore gamers. That is, they play very frequently, they play long hours, they started really early in their lives. They're embodied in that virtual world, and they flip back and forth from it. Yeah, Mom, I'm not now, And I'm looking at how is it affecting their consciousness, specifically on dreams. Those kinds of highly intensive, focused kind of gaming over long periods of time is essentially a meditative practice. And some of the consequences that you would see with meditation, you're seeing in gamers. We found that they have more lucid dreams, which isn't terribly surprising when they're in alternative realities for hours a day. And we also found that their nightmares are not like what we see in non-gamers, and that is they're empowered by the threat and the chase, just as they are in a game. They've practiced fighting back all day long, or for hours, for years, so that right away that well-learned response happens in the dream. It says something about the power of shifting realities on these deeper unconscious processes. And I think that has implications for the evolution of consciousness. In the West, we have a very externally oriented view of reality. How much stuff do you own? The chair is hard when I touch it. And anything that comes from inside of us, we minimize and dismiss as not meaningful. While in many collectivist societies, it's quite the opposite, that inner realms are very important. They view dreams as alternative worlds, as parallel universes in a sense.
A window to communicating with ancestors, to some other dimension of reality.
There's sufficient scientific evidence that says consciousness is not just in our brains, but it's in the world around us. And thus we have telepathic experiences, we dream of something that comes about, we have all kinds of different states that we experience.
I used to have this dream from when I was a kid where I'm standing at the top of this pit and there is this person down at the bottom. It's like a shadow. And they're just surrounded by snakes. And at the last moment, when this person is about to be attacked by the snakes, I grab this vine and swing down into the pit, grab that person and bring them back up. and that would be the dream. So I told my mom this dream, and she turns to me with like, just like a ghostly look on her face and goes, I always have this dream where I'm the person in the pit, and at the last second, this person swoops up and saves me. We were just like, what?
I'm not saying that it's not possible to share dreams. In fact, there is a case in which we do share dream worlds.
There are?
Yeah, that's what this is. In my view, what we're experiencing right now is a kind of a dream. And that it's all a dream. You know, it's the idea of life as a dream.
It's an idea that takes a little getting used to, because we're used to the external reality being independent of us, doesn't depend on our perception of it. But the world of consciousness, what we experience, I see things, I hear things, I feel things, that, I'm saying, is a kind of a dream. Whether we're awake or dreaming asleep, our brain is making an image of the world. And what we actually experience is our model of reality, not reality itself. Perception is dreaming constrained by sensory input. So it's a constrained dream, whereas dreaming is perception free of constraint. What exactly is the difference experientially from the dream and the waking state? And you see, it's the same stuff. It's all illusion.
Just being a person is a creative process.
Every dream is a work of art. The brain has a massive area of mystery to it that I think is best seen through dreaming, through the dream state.
Dreams help solve certain kinds of problems. They help lay down memories, for worrying about threats, for fantasizing things we want. I think we're just discovering how many functions there are to dreaming, and that they may be every bit as broad as the functions of our waking thinking.
These dreams, while we sort of think of it as, oh, you're transported to this other world, what's actually happening is you are expressing yourself in just the freest, most potent way you can imagine.
My favorite quotation is by an author of long ago, Havelock Ellis. A dream is real while it lasts. Can we say more of life?